r/AskReddit by Redmond Dts. What's a subtle sign that someone is mentally unstable? Constantly needing to assert dominance over people in some way. It's often a sign of childhood neglect or bullying. There's this guy I work with that's like this, but in that way, where he's very clearly never matured past 20 years old, despite being 40 plus. He gets off on making people uncomfortable and enjoys being a pest. He likes testing the boundaries. He's just a darn. I know a guy like this, and he's also a therapist. They majorly overreact to small annoyances. This is a big one. My family does this a lot, but nobody will admit to having anger issues. I agree that it could be just anger issues, but also that it could be other instabilities more often, like major depression or executive dysfunction disorders that make stressors that much harder to handle. It's really frustrating. Disagreeing with them is treated as a personal attack. And heaven forbid you ever tell them no. Being vindictive or overly petty at a grown age. One I've noticed for certain types of instability, certainly not all, is that they're extra quick to make or force connections at the start of interacting with a new social group, and are quick to escalate jokes to inappropriate topics. Like faster and with less finesse than a standard extrovert would. I had a period of seeking new connections through local friend finding groups, and zero to bestie behavior turned out to be an extremely reliable indicator of somebody being an exhausting pain in the ass. Someone who's really invested in parasocial relationships, to the point that their own actual relationship suffers. I have a term for a specific type of person. The disaster friend. It doesn't matter when you see them or how often you see them, but when you do, they never ask you how you're doing and go on a long rant about everything going wrong with their life at the moment. They assume you know the context regardless of how long it's been since you've seen them. The rant generally includes people who haven't paid them back or jobs that fired them for no reason. They will likely mention some illegal thing their last boss did or how someone screwed them over in some way. It boils down to a complete lack of self-awareness. They're basically just free associating what's on their mind out loud. If you try to help when things inevitably go wrong, they're going to have an excuse and ultimately find a way to make it your fault. You didn't tell me that if the job started at 8, I had to be there at 8 kind of thing. They are constantly in some kind of crisis, and miraculously always the victim of said crisis, and never able to understand their own part in the situation. They are for the most part functional, so they don't appear to be mentally unstable, but the fact that they never have a moment of chill speaks to the instability under the hood. Subtle signs that usually means that someone might be struggling mentally. Neglect of self-care. Social withdrawal. Very rigid thinking. Taking quick impulsive decisions. Trauma dumping on people they just met or barely know. Poor self-control. Overreacting to small amounts of stress or inconvenience. Constantly posting quotes on social media about how they're the victim. An inability to sit alone with your thoughts for any period of time without any distractions. If you're not mentally stable, it can be almost physically painful to reflect on your life and think critically about oneself. I find that a lot of workaholics are this way because the cracks start to appear when they are not constantly busy. So it may seem like someone is well put together from the outside, but it's really a coping mechanism or a defense to not feel what they are avoiding dealing with. They run on adrenaline and cortisol, then burnout happens, and the body and brain will force them to face their problems head on. If you know a really depressed person, check in on them if all of a sudden they seem really happy. While yes, something may be making them happy more than usual, please know it's a telltale sign that they are planning on ending their life. They see a light finally that only they can see. It's not a good light. Get them help ASAP. My best friend of 20 years developed schizophrenia at age 27. She was always an oddball, didn't gaff what people thought, and laughed way too loud at her own jokes, but something shifted when she started laughing in a snarky way to herself. Like someone was delivering her one-liners that only she could hear. Then one day she started responding to the voices delivering those one-liners, and eventually doing what they said. Like drive down the freeway at 90 miles an hour doing whippets. She was 51-50'd soon after. It's been 10 years, and she's probably gone to mental illness forever. That's all folks. Thank you for watching. If you like videos like this one, why not like and subscribe for more? Have a nice evening. Tell your friends about me.